Ms. Acosta.
Here.
Mrs. Codispoti.
Present.
Mr. Fiocchi. Here. Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Mr. Sobrana.
Present.
Mr. Silva.
Here.
Ms. Spinelli.
Here.
Mr. Ulrich.
Present.
Mr. English.
Mr. English is excused, medical reason.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Merkley. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, SNJ Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Bulletin Board. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Merkley, do we have any resolutions for executive session?
We do not.
Dr. Gruccio, any special presentations?
No, we do not.
Next, the chair would like to entertain a motion for approval of minutes for the June 29th, 2020 executive session and the July 22nd, 2020 special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Merkley, roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta.
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti.
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli. Mr. Ulrich.
Yes,
That passes.
thank you. Any comments by our board solicitor?
None.
All right, moving on to number 9. Motion to suspend bylaws. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Ms. Acosta.
The Curriculum Instruction and Technology Committee met on August 31st, 2020. Basically, we discussed instruction for the 2020 school year. We talked about the full virtual instruction guidelines. We did an overview of our remediation plan, and we also talked about the hybrid instructional model for when kids return to school. And lastly, we also discussed the importance of making sure that we meet the emotional and social needs of our students and parents. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta. Any other committee reports? The Policy and Personnel Committee did meet 2 days ago, Dr. Rossi? Okay. And present were myself, Dr. Gruccio, let's see, Ms. Spinelli, Dr. Sneathen, Mr. Sobrana, and Mr. English was absent. During the meeting, we discussed some personnel items, some financial stipends that were approved by the Finance Committee. We discussed our update on some procedural stuff that'll be forthcoming to the board regarding Google Classroom, things along that nature. There'll be administrative procedures. They won't really require board approval, but there'll be procedures on policies that have already been adapted. We also discussed a bylaw that is going to change the way we do public comment. So for our in-person meetings, the standard will be 5 minutes of public comment. For our virtual meetings, the standard will be 2 minutes for public comment, should we go there. We discussed personnel items with legal counsel regarding status of our employees, and that was about it. Any questions? Thank you. No other committee reports? We'll close that portion. For this meeting, I'm going to make a motion or entertain a motion to suspend bylaws 0164 and 0167 to provide the meeting only, that public comment on agenda items and any other matter be limited to 2 minutes for each speaker.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Murphy, roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Merkley. Public comments on any agenda item or any manner will be entertained now, limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Do we have anybody in the auditorium?
I'm going to go look in the gymnasium to see if there's anybody there
Okay.
also.
Ms. Salerno is saying there is nobody in the auditorium. So at this time, we will close that portion of our meeting to public comments. Dr. Gruccio, motions and resolutions.
Thank you. I would like to recommend discussion of the following: retirements, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, employment, transfers, substitutes, extracurricular, and extracurricular summer.
Chair would entertain a motion for approval of 1.1.
Question.
Question.
Referencing Ms. Codispoti's email, I have a question real quick. AMSA curriculum revisions. There's a $10,000 expenditure for that. Can you tell me what it is? What it's for?
Dr. Gruccio.
I couldn't
Or
quite hear.
Mr. Fry, there's a question on AMSA, $10,000 expenditure. I'm bringing it up right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes. The curriculum writing component on this agenda is about the remediation plan for closing the gaps and shrinking the curriculum for upcoming school year to meet both what we missed in March, from March to the end of school last year, and moving forward. We've taken the core components of the curriculum, or we've asked to take the core components of the curriculum and move them into one kind of compiled piece so teachers know more of a scope and sequence to meet the needs that we know we've lost and have to gain on this year. And it's across the district also.
Does that happen at every school?
Yes. Or every content area.
Any other questions on that agenda item? Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Merkley, roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. Dr. Gruccio.
I would like to recommend discussion regarding waiving the time requirements for review according to policy number 0131, bylaws and policies, and adopt the following policy, regulation, and/or bylaw. Bylaw 0164, conduct of board meetings. Bylaw 0167, public participation in board meetings.
Any question by board members?
I would like to recommend discussion authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement for the 2021 school year for the placement of students for field internships, student teaching, practicum, and observations with Rowan University.
Questions?
I have a question.
Question, Dr. Gruccio.
Since Rowan's really not open, right, how are we going to work that? Is this going to be done like virtually or?
They will be virtual,
Okay.
yes, until we go in person.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
I'd like to recommend discussion authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement for the 2021 school year for the placement of students for field internships, student teaching, practicum, and observations with Stockton University as follows. 2021 Stockton University for novice teachers and 2021 Stockton Universities for social work.
Any questions? Dr. Gutierrez?
I would like to recommend discussion to enter into a dual credit articulation agreement with Atlantic Cape Community College for the 2021 school year.
Questions?
I would like to recommend approval of items 2.1 through 2.4.
Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Merkley.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Those motions pass.
Dr. Gutierrez.
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the acceptance of the fiscal year 21 Closing the Digital Divide, a competitive discretionary grant in the amount of $2,069,749 for the time period July 16, 2020 through October 31st, 2020, according to grant guidelines.
Questions?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the following non-public aid for the 2021 school year. Non-public Chapter 192 aid in the amount of $121,798. Non-public Chapter 193 aid in the amount of $136,313. And non-public nursing aid in the amount of $36,278.
Questions?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the list of agencies and consultants for the use by Child Study Team as part of the evaluation process when specialized testing is required or when an independent evaluation is requested by a parent or required through a legal agreement. The evaluation must be aligned with NJAC 6A:14C1 through 7 and not to exceed $3,000 per evaluation as per the Vineland Board of Education Policy number 2468.
Questions?
I would like to recommend discussion authorizing the board secretary to enter into a partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Cumberland and Salem counties for the Mentor 2.0 program in a form acceptable by the board solicitor and superintendent.
Questions?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the 2021 Joint Transportation Agreement between Pittsgrove Township School District and the City of Vineland Board of Education in the amount of $1,260.
Questions?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the following: Cumberland County Regional Cooperative Transportation Initiative, 2021 quoted contracts, and 2021 addenda.
Questions?
I would like to recommend approval of items 4.1 through 4.6.
Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Merkley.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes to all, abstain on 4.4.
4.4? Noted. Mr. Sabrana,
Yes.
Mr. Silva, Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Those motions pass.
That concludes my recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Guccio. Under 12B, proposed items for review or discussion or adoption by board members. Discussion and approval of motion authorizing and directing the in-person reopening of Vineland Public Schools effective October 13, 2020, subject to any contrary governor executive order or any other governmental order, and further authorizing and directing the superintendent to submit to the NJDOE a plan for the reopening to include all appropriate health and safety protocols and protocols for the protection of students, teachers, and staff. The plan shall include legal attendance day for students, with student cohort A attending Mondays and Tuesdays, and student cohort B attending Thursdays and Fridays. During legal attendance days, teachers and staff will work a full day. Buildings will be closed on Wednesdays for sanitation and virtual instruction for students. Discussion. Being none, the chair would entertain a motion for approval of this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Merkley.
Ms. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Cottasbody,
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Mr. Sobrano,
Yes.
Mr. Silva, Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
That resolution passes.
Thank you, Mr. Merkley. Number 13, approval of bills will be done at our October meeting, so there are none tonight. Emergent items, number 14, there are none. Number 15, old business. Anyone? Closing out 15. At this time, I'd like to move to board member remarks, limited to 5 minutes, please, and I'll start with Ms. Cottasbody.
I really just want to wish our teachers and students and our staff, everyone relating to the school district, a good school year. I know this is a little different for everybody. I'm not going to refer to it as the new normal. I don't believe that. I can't wait to get our students and teachers back into the school safely. I think people are going to notice that some items were pulled from the agenda as far as some clubs, but I think our ultimate goal and our number one goal is getting our students and staff back into the district safely. After that, I think we can work on the clubs. But let's get that done. Let's get our kids back into the schools and let's get them going. I know they're excited to be back. I've spoken to a lot of parents and students, and they're ready to come back. Everyone have a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cottasbody. Mr. Sobrano.
I want to echo Mrs. Cottasbody's thoughts and also hope that there is a demonstrably effective vaccine. I know there was a setback yesterday with the testing of one that had a lot of promise, but the only way we'll get back to a new old normal is that, and that's widely available. In the meantime, I know, as Mrs. Cottasbody said, teachers, students, families all like to get back to school, and I wish them all a good year.
Thank you, Mr. Sobrano. Mr. Silva.
None at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Ms. Spinelli.
Hi, good evening. I just want to wish everyone a happy back to school. I'm proud of the district in what they proposed for October 13th, and I feel confident that this district is going to move forward in the right way. I can't wait to get my son back in school and the rest of our Vineland students, and I really do appreciate all the teachers and all of our parents' hard work at this time and for being understanding and coming together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spinelli. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ulrich. Hope everyone had a great back to school, teachers, staff. 1 point on 12.B, the approval tonight. I believe that we will be keeping not only students in the classroom every day with instruction, in-person instruction, but it also keeps our staff employed. So I'm grateful to Dr. Gruccio and her team for the plan for October 13th, and I look forward to things to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Fiocchi.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Fiocchi. Ms. Acosta. Oh,
Mr. Sobrano and I were talking, and we were all talking earlier. We just want to wish Mr. English a quick recovery, and hopefully he'll be back soon. I know he's paying attention as much as he can, and we just want to get him back as soon as possible. Thanks.
you stole my thunder. Mr. Costa.
I just want to thank Dr. Gruccio, Central Administration, teachers, staff, principals. I cannot begin to thank each and every person that worked so very hard to ensure that we would have a productive beginning of the school year and hopefully moving into our hybrid plan. I'd like to also thank those members of the community who participated in the reopening committee, expressing their views and concerns regarding returning back to the schools. But in seeing Dr. Gruccio's plan for returning back to school, I feel very confident that assuming everything continues going the way it is, that our students will be safe and we will have a very productive school year. And to the students, I just want to tell you, hang in there. I know for many, virtual instruction can be difficult. Others seem to be doing okay. But just know that there are resources out there for you. Your teachers are there for you. Guidance counselors are there for you. And the same with parents. Please reach out if you see your child struggling in any way. We've really worked hard to ensure that each child is going to receive the support that they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Dr. Gruccio.
I'd just like to take a quick moment to thank all of our staff for all that they did to help us get this school year off the ground. There's always some kinks and we're working them out, but everybody's worked extremely hard, and I hope that we have a very successful school year. So thank you to everyone for all the hard work you put in.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio. Number 18, remarks by the board president, acting board president. And with that being said, I do talk to Mr. English every day. It's like anything, he's got his ups and downs. He misses the interaction with the board. He's hoping to target the October meeting to take over. I do realize now, because I'm forgetful about, there's a lot of work that the board president does, a lot of interaction with Dr. Gruccio and her staff, and I've gotten a kind of like a reminder, wake up, regarding just the day-to-day interaction and everything that goes on. So with that being said, I do want to tell you, over the past week and a half since our last meeting and committee meetings, Dr. Gruccio and her team has been totally engaged. They addressed our concerns that the schools need to be back into session on October 13th. This was a cooperative effort. Mr. Farinaccio and his staff have done, as Dr. Gruccio told me, everything possible to ensure that our buildings are safe, ready for our staff and students to return. So I couldn't ask for anything more. Yes, there's kinks and there's going to be some roadblocks, and we're going to have to navigate through that, and it's nobody's fault, and there's a lot of pressure on teachers, and parents, and hopefully, if everything continues like Ms. Acosta said, we're going to be in our cohort hybrid plan October 13th, which will offer the children the best possible education with social distancing that we can deliver at this stage of where we're at with this pandemic. With that being said, that'll conclude my remarks. I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go, Dr. Gruccio, in the books. First in-person meeting.
That's right, 24 minutes.
24 minutes. I will say, I am the bomb. Scott, they told me to stay home.